Okay, so today our topic for our Empowering Women in Real Estate Monthly Meetup is all about client events. So, I think, Vicki, you said it, you've been intimidated by client events because of the cost especially, and maybe a little bit about the interactions, which, Susie knows. I saw Susie at a client event last night, actually, and they're really painful for me, actually. Like, it's not, it's very uncomfortable. So I loved, like what Hannah said with her event, she had it kind of centered around a project, and we're going to talk about that today, because those are what's most comfortable for me too, because the events where we're just like standing around talking to each other is it makes me sweat just thinking about it. So so I love the ones where you're kind of around, and I think that's more comfortable for our clients too, because sometimes maybe they are a little uncomfortable to come and just think about chat, I love looking at houses with Vicki, but now I got to chat with her for an hour. So I love that. So for years and years, and I think somebody over there, you said this, I think it was Laura, it was you. For years and years, we thought about and planned, we're going to do this year. This is the year we're going to do a client event. We're going to do an event this year, and we did that we talked about it for years before we actually did it. And our first event was 4 years ago, and it turned out so well, and we realized that they're not as expensive as you think, and they can be a lot easier than you think. And so now we've done how many? I mean, Melissa said you've done at least 12 for us. It's a lot more than that we've done. So we do like 5 or 6 a year. So
what was that one thing that triggered?
It was having the first one. So we had formed our team, and we decided that we were going to do a breakfast with Santa that year, and that was our very first one. We had seen someone else had done it, their idea, and we hired, actually it was a newer agent on our team to help us with it, and we'll talk about that event too. And it went so well that was it. Like the switch flipped, and we just each year we added another one, and then we added another one, and so it was just having one. It was kind of the thing. So they are intimidating, but they don't have to be. So let's talk about some options.
Can I ask you?
Yes, you can.
Who did you invite? Just your clients?
We're going to talk about that. But yeah, we invite a lot of people, not just clients, but I'm going to tell you who we invite. So I think the very first thing that you need to do is figure out what kind of event you're going to have. And so I thought this would be a really fun opener also for our lunch today, because you already heard several people mention different events that they did. So it will be fun to kind of exchange some ideas on that. So, and the type of event you have, I think it's going to depend on multiple things. How many people do you feel like you have to invite, right, Michelle? You had like 7 people, including your mom, the first time. How many people do you think you have to invite? What your budget is? That's obviously going to be a big driver. What are you comfortable with in terms of, larger scale or smaller scale? So figuring out what kind of event. So you can do big scale events like, Luann mentioned, like wineries and breweries, and we do things like that too. Kim, you mentioned, some like that. Those are big events if you have a lot of people, but there's also a ton of great small scale events that you can do. You mentioned, Charlene, the dinner at your house, right?
It was a gratitude party, but everybody wanted to come to my house because I'm the realtor, and I go to their house.
You go to their house.
So I had
clever
so many
idea.
clients that came.
Yes, and they love that. So those can be great smaller scale events that can be awesome. I've seen people do, like Hannah just did the AR workshops. A friend of mine, Laura Walsh, she is with RE/MAX, and she does multiple events every year, and she does a lot of small scale intimate events. So she will do, and sometimes she'll even almost do them like every other month, and she'll do like a yoga class at her office. She's done that several times, where she invites, she has kind of like a core group of clients, all women that come to this yoga class at her office. And it's kind of a client event. She has done a cooking class. There was a farm or a place in Luckett's that does this, and she invited 2 people, kind of her 2 like A+ clients, and they came and they did this cooking class together. So it doesn't have to be, the idea of the client event does not have to be like a big production. Sometimes the smaller intimate events are actually more powerful or just as powerful. What my team does is we do a movie event. Last year was our first year doing the movie event. It was our most economical event. Melissa, would you say?
Definitely.
And it was what, like $12 a person?
I think it was $11.50 a person.
And it was super easy. Like our work time was an hour.
And this is why it was your favorite.
Yes,
Because
yeah, because I didn't have to talk to people for long.
Yeah, it was minimal communication.
It was minimal communication.
But no, so it was $11.50. You got a ticket for the movie,
Mm-hmm.
a soda, and a popcorn. It was all included in your $11.50. And we actually had our event on the opening weekend of Lego Movie 2.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
you
that's
can
good.
pre-plan, you can just go onto the International Movie Database to figure out when things are coming out. We had it at Cobb, and it was low effort, it was very cheap.
Yep.
And we had a little Lego draw, we bought some like Lego kits, and
Mhm.
we did like a guess how many Legos are the thing. So we made some interactive aspect to it.
Yeah.
But once the movie started,
We were out.
We split.
Yeah. So it was actually perfect for that. And the movie time, and is this all the only way they do it is before they open? Is that right?
So we had a large amount of people.
Ah.
So we had 269 people. So it depends on the amount of theaters. Like this is how they run it. You can either rent a theater, and the theaters are all different sizes. So if you want to rent a theater for there's one that has 49 people, there's one that seats 75 people. So the way that we had planned it, I needed 4 theaters. And it was cheaper to do it before it opened. So when it opens at 11, I think our movie started at 10.
Yeah.
So it was, I don't know what the pricing was when it was open, but it's a more intimate feeling when it's just your clients there.
Yeah.
So that was our preference, and we had,
Gabriel.
Gabriel there, and you did a really professional, awesome video. It's actually on our Facebook page if you want to check it out, because the event was amazing.
Yeah.
The kids were so excited, and
It was fun. It was easy. It was not expensive. And I know other agents who have done movie events where they've not rented the theaters, and they just kind of like park themselves at the entrance to the theater, the movie complex, and they just hand out tickets to their clients as they arrive. So you can do it that way too. I mean, there's a ton of ways to.
it's what you want to make it.
It's what you want to make it. So we do that. We're going to do that again next year. We do a winery and brewery event during the summer, which is an awesome event. We rent out Quattrogoomba in Aldi, which is an amazing event. Now, again, that's a little bit more expensive, and I think there were more people, but people, they love that. You got music, you got all that. We do our Breakfast with Santa, which is like a favorite event. We do a sit-down breakfast. We have a Santa. This year we have the Santa from Reston Town Center, who is going to be our Santa. And then we have a photographer that takes pictures of all of the kids with Santa. And so then that gives us a little something to give them when you leave. Do you have a question on that, Hannah?
How did you get started with finding a location? Did you find a place that did Breakfast with Santa, and then, or do you bring a caterer?
We created it ourselves. So we have done, and Melissa, I'm sure you can talk to this, we have done facilities that have food that can do their own catering.
But we've also done facilities where I'm a huge fan of this website called Thumbtack. Because we have done, honestly, these aren't client appreciation events, but we have such a large team that even these events that I plan for the team, like they're events that I put together, and sometimes we have them in other states.
Yeah.
Like a retreat and things, and Thumbtack, you can type in anything you're looking for, and then you get quotes. So I have found caterers, a whole bunch of different vendors on this. So we've had like Casanel Winery.
Yes.
We did a winery event like 3 years ago, and they did not have food. They supplied the, obviously the wine, but I just contracted out with a caterer that I found that was really economical.
But that's cheaper than bluffing in the other place.
It was cheaper.
Just depends, yeah.
There's this really great place down in Cascades now that's called the Cascades Overlook Event Center that is because it's new. So I think like in a couple of years it probably will not be that cheap, but it's super cheap right now.
So jump in now while you
It's a
can.
flat fee, and then you just contract out your caterer, so you can do anything. I was looking at that, it just won't hold as many people as we like to
Yeah.
our events, but that's a really good option if you want to have any sort of event.
We've used the National Conference Center
National Conference
a couple
Center.
times, and they do their own food.
We've used Quattrogoomba, they do their own food, which I love when big places do their own food. The Cobb Theater, you can do events all like throughout the year if you just rent the theater for a flat fee, and it's really not that expensive, and
Yeah.
they bring in food, any sort of food that you want. You can even have a breakfast buffet for your movie too. It's just, they calculate it as just one cost per person. that is a really cool option too, because they can do pastries, coffee, and they let it into the theaters.
We thought about doing our breakfast with Santa this year at the theater
Yes.
because we thought, well, we can have Santa come and mingle with the kids, and they get their little pastries, and then they go into their movie, and then you're done. So there's a ton of places. You'd be surprised, I think, when you start opening your mind to the possibilities of these events, then I think you start realizing what else is available. And we also do a reverse pop-by event. You know, Charlene's mentioned those. We're going to talk about that specifically. We've done several of those, and we also do a vendor event, which we'll talk about that too. So anybody else want to share any ideas for different types of events that you've heard or seen or that you've done? Please.
I saw on social media recently an agent that did or is doing like photo sessions for your pet. So particularly if
definitely that.
that's,
That's a
something
cute
that speaks
idea.
to you, or maybe your client base or whatever. Whether you just have a photographer at a park and
That's
they
a
have
cute
times
idea.
that they can come, and it could be holiday or otherwise. But I thought that one was kind
I've
of
seen
good.
the photographers doing breakfast with Santa for people that have pets
Yeah,
that
same
don't
type
have
of thing.
children.
Mhm.
That's a clever one.
Yeah.
Anybody else? Any ideas that you've heard of or seen or tried?
Well, I've
Yeah.
been doing, I like cooking, and I just did it in my kitchen. So last year I started doing like once a month, call my friends and
Uh-huh.
people, hey, let's get together, cook together. So
That's
I
fun.
actually dress up like a chef
Ah.
and have them dress up. So we just, as a matter of fact, I just started to YouTube too. So just there's only one so far, but I've been doing this, and people likes it a lot. And
That's a fun idea.
yeah, last year because I did this and I did a live video,
Mm-hmm.
and some of my friends may know,
Mm-hmm.
and I get a lot of compliments on it, and
Yeah.
I actually end up getting clients
Nice.
because of that.
You know, I think anytime you have I got you next hand. I think anytime you have an event like that where you have like an activity going, I mean, to me, those are the most easy and comfortable. You know, breakfast with Santa, there's a purpose. You eat, you take your picture. Now, the winery event is least comfortable for me because it's just about chatting people, but still, it works really nicely. Hannah?
This is in the terms of the really big one, I just heard Richard Bridges talking about this. I really want to do it.
Mhm.
It's going to take a lot of planning. It's, he collaborates with a couple different agents to make it more affordable.
Yep.
They rent out, I think it was the Dulles Sportsplex.
Mm.
They had like so many things going on. They had like a balloon guy,
Wow.
bouncy thing.
Yep.
They had family portraits.
Mm-hmm.
And there was something about a raffle involved with leaving a review when you're there. So they were getting more reviews from people.
That's an
too.
excellent idea.
And that was just kind of like, just almost like a little carnival. And
Their own
since-
private carnival.
I think he
Yeah.
said there were 5 agents involved. So at
Interesting.
that point,
Yeah, we're going to talk about that too, because that's a good way, especially if you think you don't have, like Sabrina, you're saying you're new. If you don't have a lot of your own clients yet, or you're concerned about budget, that's a great way to have nobody knows who belongs to you and who doesn't. So it's an amazing way to do that. I see a ton of agents, and we've talked about doing this, do like the ones at like a farm, like Great Country Farms. Kim, do you want to tell us about your experiences with that?
Yeah, so we contacted Great Country Farm and we just asked, the cool thing about this from like an affordable standpoint is that, yes, they gave us all the tickets, but we only paid for the tickets that got turned in.
Nice,
So
nice.
that was awesome.
Yeah, you heard somebody else talk about that when people don't show.
Yeah, so, we had, basically I made up tickets and I just sent it to the winery and the brewery and Great Country Farm just to get their approval and everything so that they knew what the tickets looked like.
Nice.
And then we sat at Bluemont Vineyards and just drank wine and chatted
Awesome.
and stuff. And then people would come and find us, and then we would give them, the tickets. We'd sit there and chat with them for a little bit. But then, if they have a glass of wine, but then they would normally go off and
Right.
do something. But like the ticket at Great Country Farm, I think was like a hayride that they got to go do, and then select a pumpkin. And then at Bluemont, it was a glass of wine, and then at Dirt Farm, it was a pint of beer. And we didn't have food or
Yeah.
anything like that. It
Yeah.
was just literally just conversating and
Yeah. But that's so nice, because in a way you're kind of like gifting them an experience, right? Because they're not like, oh, I've got to go to my realtor's party. Like like I did go to Jackie's party last night because I love her. But like, when my vendor calls me and like, come to my thing, and I'm like, right? So for something like that, like they don't have that pressure of having to be with you. You're gifting them something, and then they get to go and enjoy it with their family. So I love that idea. That's a really good
Can
one.
I add on to something that she
Yeah.
said that is, honestly, I think it is so important that I found. You really need to renegotiate with the vendor as far as the head count.
Yes.
Because we have so many people that are just no calls, no shows. I mean, obviously, the larger your event, the larger that number is. And we have one event, our most expensive event is the breakfast with
Yep.
Santa. It's like a sit-down buffet, and that they wanted to charge us by they would have like a big basket of rolled silverware. And
Yeah.
I was like, I mean, these are some little kids there. And
Yeah.
it was like $40
A head, yeah.
And I'm
No
like,
matter how old the
"Not
person
pay."
was.
So I think especially if you're just an independent agent, like maybe having your friends or some family members come and formalize your check-in table.
Yes.
Like we have a very formal check-in table now, and that is how I do my head count. I always renegotiate with the vendor because it saves you a lot of money than just saying, oh, I have X amount of people coming, and you really don't have X amount of people coming.
Yeah,
the
it's
number
such a great point. And
Yeah.
Luann, I got you next, but we talk about this a lot, and I think any of you who've ever had like a birthday party for your kids, or you have a broker's open, like we see it with the lunch here. We have people who RSVP, and things happen all the time where at last minute they can't come, or plans change, or sometimes people think they RSVP and then they just show up. We have that with our pie event every year, so we always order extra pies. So, you do have to really be prepared for that, because like you had mentioned, it can be a huge expense if you're having to pay for a certain amount up front. Leanne, what did you want to share?
I did see on somebody's blog that I understand the discomfort of being at a winery and having to make conversation.
Yes.
He said that he had like separate tables and each one had conversation starters.
Oh,
Like, what do you think about this? Or what do you think about that? I can't remember the specific example.
Interesting.
But I thought my next winery event,
Yeah.
I gotta do an interest at each table, an interesting conversation starter.
that's a great idea.
Yeah.
Because it can be kind of awkward, right? You've got
Yes.
these mixed
Oh, yeah.
groups of people.
And not everybody's an extrovert.
Correct.
So my introvert clients
Yes.
are not so open to coming to a winery
No.
where, oh no, I'm gonna have to make conversation with people I don't know.
Yeah, no, you know what, it's so funny because a couple of the agents on our team are kind of like me, and we're really kind of introverted, and so we all kind of huddled together in the corner and we're going, this is so uncomfortable, what time can we go home? But when you have the right event and you have that flow, we have music, we had things for the
Live
kids to
music
do.
is key.
Live music is
You can
key.
hire a live musician for anywhere from like $250 to $500 for
Yep.
2.5 hours, and it just smooths the whole thing out. It really does.
Because if they're really loud, you have to talk.
Yeah, it does.
Sorry.
Do you find that your events that are inclusive of kids are more successful than
Great question. So we learned this. Initially, our thought was, since we have Breakfast with Santa and we have movies that include kids, that our winery event was not going to include kids, so that we could have an option. And we held on to that belief for a couple of years, and this year we decided to break it, and we invited kids, and it was so much more successful.
In the 11th hour.
So it literally, like the 11th hour,
Take it for it.
we said kids can come, and it completely, like, so many more people, the energy was different. So, I mean, for us, what we have found for these types of events, especially, a lot of the wineries and breweries are meant to include kids anymore. So it worked beautifully. Yeah. All right, so let's talk about budgets. So a budget is the big deal, right? I mean, you've heard Melissa say, like, we've had events that are like $11.50 each, up to like $40 a person. So it can get, and Hannah, not to make you say your specific things, but I'm sure AR workshops, that was not inexpensive per person, right?
It's more than 40.
Yeah, I was gonna say. But then that's why you also have smaller scale, right? So you think about how you balance that out. The more people you have to weigh that. So a couple of ways and some people mentioned this already, to help with your costs, is we heard some people talk about sharing the event. I think, Hannah, you mentioned sharing the event with colleagues. That's a great way to, especially if you're not on the team and you're an individual agent, that is a really great way to have an event that's a lot less stressful, and that where you're sharing the expense with other people. So that is a really big way. And again, people don't know who are your people and who are not your people. They just think, wow, look at all of these amazing clients that Michelle has. Like, you know, they don't know. So that is a huge way to save with budget. Another one is get your vendor partners involved. So I heard that a couple of times. So we will try to, and you know, I think Nayland, you said this, if you overtax your vendors, they won't want to do too many things with you, right? So we will kind of rotate what they do and how they support us. So at Breakfast with Santa, you know, maybe we have a vendor who would always bring cupcakes just to kind of supplement like a little take home. We have done for our in-office, like reverse pop buys, we'll have them sponsor the food table. So they'll give us a few $100s and then we can use that to buy the refreshments. So that's a great way to control your budget. Any thoughts or questions or feedback on that?
Sometimes it's just a matter of like, depending on the venue, I'm gearing up for 2 events, and one of them it was if you do the movie early in the day,
Yes.
it's all of a sudden it's half the cost.
Yes.
There's 3 of us going in, and we're doing Star Wars opening weekend. So
Oh,
pretty close.
awesome.
But it's right before Christmas, so we're like,
No, that's awesome. That's a great
we'll
one.
see. And if everybody's in town, we'll fill the theater. But we got a much better discount just by shifting it an hour earlier than we initially
Yes.
thought we would. Like half the
Yes,
price.
yes.
And then I'm doing a small kind of mom's happy hour, and I called the place and they're like, you know, Tuesday nights are slow for us.
Yep.
And we'll give you the half
thank
price
you.
wine.
Yes,
Okay.
yes,
You know,
Yes.
and they'll tell you what day of the week, and they love it because you're bringing people in when maybe they
Yep.
wouldn't be so busy
yeah.
otherwise.
That's a great point. We have done that. Thank you so much. We have done that with our winery events because we really wanted to do weekends, but the price was like insane. So if we do it on Tuesdays when they're normally closed or a slow night, you know, it works better. So obviously not all of our clients is going to be appropriate for them to come on a weeknight, but we still get a lot of guests who come. So that's a great suggestion. Melissa, do you have any thoughts on that? Because you do so many of these.
So definitely, so if you are asking a vendor or a restaurant to host your event during their business hours, they need to recoup all the revenue that they're bringing in. So they have like you have to like a bottom line that they have to bring in from you.
Yep.
So it is out of control. It really is out of control. I've called so many places. So especially wineries and breweries, they're usually Monday or Tuesday, they're closed. So they are always willing. I mean, some money is better than no money, right? So they will open up for, you know, a significant drop in price, really, like way significant, a fraction of the price on like a Monday or Tuesday. So our winery event and our brewery event were always Tuesday in the summer, Tuesday evening.
Do you limit the hours? Like
Yes.
between
Yes,
5 and 6?
always.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
We always have and we are like, I tell the musician right at the time, like, hey, announce list,
Shutting it down,
like,
yeah.
shut it down at this time, because we like to stay on top of that. Because if you go over, anytime you sign a contract, there is like, you know, you pay more.
Right.
How many hours do you usually schedule something like that, like a winery or?
2 hours.
We do too.
Yeah, 2 hours.
Yeah. We have, so we've done our winery event, and again, and we're going to talk about this part too, like the debriefing after the event is really critical, because after each event, we think about what worked and didn't work and could be better, and so we learn. So we've done the winery events from like 5 to 7, but then we realized that can actually be hard for a lot of people coming home from work. So next year we're going to shift to 6 to 8. Just because, you know, it's still that 2-hour window. It gives people, you know, commuters a little bit more time. Because last year we had people who were showing up at like 6:30 or 6:45, and you know we were shutting it down at 7. So be conscious of that. Any other thoughts on budget? I mean, Charlene, for you doing this at your house, I imagine was probably really helpful.
Very, because I did the buffini, the pies, everybody
Yes.
went home with the pie.
Yes.
And the few people that did not show up, I hand delivered.
Perfect. Yeah, that's what we do
Because
too.
they loved
Yeah.
it, they loved that extra touch.
Yes.
There's one thing, we're doing the movie thing, October 26th at Tyson's, C16, from 4 to 7. There's 5 of us agents that are doing it from the Tyson's Corner office and myself.
Nice.
And everybody, I sent out the Eventbrite, but I also put it in the mail, in
Excellent.
colored envelopes.
Yes.
Because I'm big into colored
Yes.
envelopes.
Yes.
So they have their choice of 16 different movies from 4
Oh,
to
so
7.
they get to choose.
They get to choose the
Oh, how
movie
interesting.
from 4 to 7. It's $12 a person, and then I'm going to give a $5 for a concession.
Mm-hmm.
The key thing that I found was who you invite. So I have a family law attorney for the last 13 years who's extremely fantastic. I cannot tell you how many cases she's won for me because I was divorced, I'll be honest. And she'd buy a house with me in January. I have a very senior executive at Navy Federal that I invited who did not buy her house with me, but she already said, Charmaine, thank you. I mean, you have to invite people, even if you think they can afford it, it's the idea that you invite them. So don't be shy about inviting executives.
Awesome point.
It's just,
It's the gesture.
it's
I'm
a
so
gesture.
glad you said that.
It is.
And it's a perfect segue because we're going to talk about who to invite now. But you're absolutely right. I think sometimes
Just
we
gesture.
overthink when it comes to pop buys, right? I'm sure you see this, Patrice, all the time. Sure, this person can afford to buy this beautiful gift basket, or this person can afford to buy this cute little pumpkin carving kit that I'm giving away, but that's not the point.
Right.
The point is that you are showing your appreciation by in your generosity by offering something to someone. So I'm so glad that you mentioned that because you're absolutely right.
Yeah, and I invited my doctors because I have arranged doctors.
Nice.
I do.
Yep.
And 2 of them are coming.
Fantastic.
Yeah, my oncologist and my breast surgeon.
Good for
They
you.
said, we never get invitations. And I
Oh.
said, come, you know,
Come.
and I'll be there, we'll greet them, and then like you said,
Yeah,
afterwards,
separate.
we just disappear.
Go your own.
So,
Go your own. I love that. That's an awesome idea. So when it comes to who to invite, you know, I recommend that you start with your A+ and your A clients, right? So I have certain people that get invited to every single thing that I do. They get every pop by that I do. Like, these are my best people. We all have them. So they always get invited first. And then, you know, it can be nice to, it's kind of depending on you and what your business is like. Maybe it's people that you're actively working with right now. Maybe you're active sellers, you're active buyers. It can be nice for them to have a chance to kind of communicate with you and come together with you in a way that's a little bit different than the stress of the transaction. I like inviting vendors. We have certain vendors that we invite to all of our events, not even if they're not sponsoring it, like not to sponsor it, but just again to kind of show a little gratitude and a little thankfulness. But I like what you were saying too, like your doctors, or are there people who, if you think about this for a minute, there are probably a lot of people that you have that support your business or support you that maybe aren't necessarily buying a house with you or haven't before. And those are people who are worthy of inviting because they're going to get to see you. And I don't know if you said it, Susie, or somebody else said it. They get to kind of see you in a different way. Like they get to see all of these people like, we love Susie and I love Susie and she did a great job for me. And so it just kind of helps to change the way they see you. So that is what I recommend. One of the things that we do with our team, which helps with that RSVP thing, it helps with the no-shows, is we always do 2 rounds of invitations for all of our events because, you know, let's face it, all of us have a budget, our venues have limits, and so there's a certain number of people that we can have. So we start with kind of our like first choice. We'll never tell anybody if they're first or second choice, but we kind of have like our first choice invites first, and we send that out, and then we can kind of figure out, okay, this many are coming, this many aren't coming, so then we can do round 2. Okay, we know that we've got room for this many more, and then we can do a second round, and we have found that to be really helpful. Do you have thoughts on the, I'm sure you do with the RSVPs, because it's the hardest thing.
Types of RSVPs.
Yes.
We have done actual mail away RSVPs.
Yep.
We have done email RSVPs. We have done text invites, and we have done a video invite.
Yes, we
So-
have.
And it, honestly, we kind of do all of those for each event.
Correct.
Because it's dependent upon, we have sent invites via snail mail that have just gone unresponded to.
Mhm.
And then when you text the invite, they
Yes.
respond immediately.
Yes. So we have our invitation is created by our marketing director, and it's something that obviously can be printed, put in an envelope, and mailed. But it's also something that we can text. It's a graphic. We can email it to somebody. We can social media message it. We can whatever. And do not discount the last minute invitation because we have learned this with our last couple of events that sometimes the people that you invite last minute are much more likely to come than the people you give a lot of notice. Because if you tell me 3 weeks from now you want me to come to your thing, if it's not maybe my favorite thing, I don't know what I'm doing in 3 weeks. I may not, be inclined to RSVP. But if you ask me today, if I can come to something on Monday night, I know what my schedule is going to be, right? So for the
And the smoothest way to handle that is, I mailed you an invitation and I realized I never heard from you.
Did you get it?
That
You get to save a little face.
Yeah, you're not like, oh, I'm the last minute invite. Like,
Yes.
Yeah, you just pretend that you.
And sometimes I'll also, what I've used those for too, is if I have people who are not clients yet, like we haven't bought or sold a home together, but we've talked sometimes about maybe buying or selling real estate, then they are a lot of my last minute invite people. I'll send them a message and say, hey, we're having an event for our clients. We have a few extra, spots open. Would you like to join us, right? Because then it kind of gives us again the, like, they're not really a client, but we're including them in this thing. So anybody have any thoughts on that, Laura?
Yeah, but I do have a question. Is there a percentage of the invitees that actually respond with a yes that don't show up?
There always are. Yeah, I would say it's pretty minimal though. Would you say?
It is. I'm not good with numbers, though. She's the tracker, but no, I don't know.
It's not a huge number. No, it's not a huge number. We do tend to over-invite just a little bit.
Actually, come to think of it, I can answer that. I actually usually have to pay for more.
Yeah.
Because I will reduce the number for pretty much anything we do. I always reduce the number, and then we wind up having to just pay a little bit extra when I turn in my final count. So I have underestimated, and sometimes people just show up when they don't RSVP. So
It just works.
kind of balances itself out. Yeah, always, I think, depending upon I would reduce your number like each time. If you're inviting 100 people, like take 10 off, and give them that estimate.
Yeah, that's good.
200 people, 20 off. I think that's a safe ratio.
I actually do the other way around.
You do the other way. You add on, really.
Because I figured it out all those years. With any invitation, if I'm inviting 100 people, like 50, 60 say yes, and the others say no. And it's not like they don't like us or anything like that. It's just they can't make it. But then sometimes the last minute.
Can I come?
Either they say, can I come, or they change their RSVP, or sometimes they say they're coming, they don't show up.
Yes.
So that's why, like, my husband and I always fight over it. He goes like, oh, you're inviting too much. I go like, well, but
Yeah.
don't come.
Better be prepared. Yeah.
So I rather always do more.
Yeah, you know what? I think you come to learn when you do events, and you come to know your people, and you come to figure out, like, we have learned that with our client events, less are going to show than what we plan for. With our with our reverse pop by events, more will come than say they're coming. So so we'll have to have more things. So you kind of get the gist of what of what that's going to be, and then you can adjust accordingly. Other thoughts on RSVPs, people to invite? Hannah, how did you decide who to invite to your event?
I kind of did some of the things that you're describing, just didn't plan it in advance. Because I was worried that a lot of people would reply.
Yep, yeah.
Because it's like, it really was $75, $80 per person.
Yep, yeah.
You can, with the Air Workshop, you can tell them which projects to include, but I didn't want to seem cheap, so I included ones from 40 up to 75.
Yep.
And no one did the $40 ones.
Of course
It was
not.
so low.
Yeah, they're gonna do the big one.
So they're really 60 to 75.
Yeah.
And now I realize there are so many options in those, so I could have been a little bit
Yeah.
lower. It was a really great event.
Yeah.
But I did a first round, I did mail invites,
Hi.
and I did paperless post.
Okay.
And then I did a second round, and one of my last minute ones was great. She brought all her kids.
Oh my gosh.
And so it really filled the room up.
Oh, that's awesome.
And now we're buddies, and they were under contract. So
That's awesome.
I originally just did my clients.
Yes.
But I want to do one that's includes some prospects, because there was someone
Yes.
who said they wanted to come, but didn't.
So for a less expensive event, right, you include your prospects. You kind of brought up a good point. We usually, especially with Breakfast with Santa, we'll always bring our kids. If you're worried, so we have these monthly meetups in 16 or 17 different cities, and some of the groups are a lot smaller because they haven't been doing them as long as we have here. And so I always tell them have at least one guaranteed attendee because things will change and you never know. So so have a couple people if you're worried about not having enough clients or you're worried about the room not looking full. Invite some friends or some family members that you know will be there.
Yeah, I mean, my mom, my sister comes.
Yes, because then it like fills up the room.
And then the vendor, so that's 4 people. I think we had a total of like 18.
That's perfect.
Oh,
That's
that's
perfect.
great.
And then it fills up your room.
And everyone sees the picture, and it just, you know.
They say, oh, what a great event.
It's just about the like touches.
Yes.
I knew that
Mhm.
beforehand because
Yes.
I've been to so many things.
Yes.
with you, so.
Nice job. Nice job.
And I invited, I actually have sent them to my sellers who have moved out of state and
Yes.
said, do me a favor, you know someone back here, pass it on.
Not a room.
Because that could be somebody else that might end up
Yes,
connecting.
it's a great idea.
So I have sent, for the movie event, I sent 6 of them. And out of the 6, I would say 4 have passed on to friends.
That's
that I'm gonna meet.
amazing.
So then I have their email
Fantastic
addresses
idea.
and
It's
stuff.
a fantastic
So-
idea. Well, and I think to your point that what we started with, don't presuppose or pre-guess for your people if they're gonna like it or not like it or wanna come or not gonna come. Because if they don't wanna come, they'll just say no.
Right.
And even if they don't come, you still get the like, oh, Patrice thought of me, right? Like that, that's kind of what you want. You get that extra touch. So even if they don't join you, the fact that they get your invitation is a big deal. So
Sometimes they'll surprise you with, can I come with my grandkids, which you
That's
thought,
right.
you didn't necessarily think about. or
exactly,
whatever.
exactly.
Case might
Any
be.
other thoughts on who to invite? Okay. So one of the things that I always recommend is that you do either some kind of giveaway at your event and or do a pop-by tied to your event afterwards or some kind of goodie. So for example, for our Breakfast with Santa, we would have everybody take their picture with their with the Santa, and then we go through and we select the photos that we think are the best. We have them framed, and then we drop them off at our client's house afterwards. And so, which is a really nice little treat. For our winery event, we did bottle openers that were branded with our, platinum contact information on it. For the movie event, we did the giveaway. Melissa mentioned that. So we had like a jar full of Legos, and the kids could guess, and so we gave away like 3 kits. Lego sets, but then we also did the little Lego minifigures, which are like $4 each or something. And so for all of the kids that came, and again, this is where that sign-in table is super important, we delivered a little pop-by to them afterwards with the little Lego. So it's just a really nice way to like tie your event together.
You actually did that to the people that your people that didn't come too, and that was nice.
I did do that to some of my people who wanted to come and couldn't come. We still sent them the little pop-by. Kim, did you guys do something like that?
It was just something that came, another event that I thought I would share and everything, that I thought was clever from a price standpoint, is if there's a particular like neighborhood or farm that you're working in.
Yes.
We did it where, on the first day of summer, we were at the pool with ice cream and told the neighborhood about it, and they would come to the pool, and all we did was go to the grocery store right beforehand and get, the first year we did it, which was a total mistake, we were hand scooping ice cream. That was terrible. We learned the second year and just went and got like ice cream sandwiches, popsicles, like all that kind of stuff, and then just had it there in a cooler.
That's a great idea.
And the kids loved it, like absolutely loved it. And I mean, it probably cost us $150.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. See, there's so many ways that you can do little things that don't have to be super expensive. So I love the idea of a gift, a giveaway, if anybody's doing something. Even if you decide not to do a giveaway, at least send a thank you note to your guests after they come, right? It's another way to touch. If they were not able to come, maybe they RSVP'd and last minute they couldn't join you, then send them a little note, we missed you, maybe you send them a little goodie, right? So I think that's always really important. Some best practices. So we've perfected, I wouldn't say we perfected, but like we got pretty darn close.
Honestly, I think the key is just starting.
Yes.
Do pick something and go with it, and then you'll learn something, and you'll apply it to next year. And
Yep.
then next year you'll learn something else, and then you'll apply it to the next year. It's
Yep.
a constantly evolving process.
Every year we get a little bit better, and the events get a little bit better because we learn things. And so we have learned the importance of having a sign-in table. So we always have a sign-in table. You know, we know the names of people who are coming beforehand. We check them off. It's very official. At the winery, we even did little wristbands. So that means you're going to need to have somebody with you to help you. So do not think that you can do that yourself. So you need to like hire a friend if you don't have an assistant. We always have our kids, like all of our kids on our team have name badges, their own little official name badges, and let them be the check-in people, but have some kind of a sign-in. So then that way too, you know exactly who is there. You can focus on mingling and chatting and doing whatever, and then you know you've got that covered. So always make sure that you have people who are available to do that. It's super, super important. You can't handle all of this by yourself. And it's going to be worth it to pay $50 and have somebody, you know, come and do that for you. Anybody thoughts on that? Comments on that?
How many events do you usually do per year? Just one
We do 5 or 6.
a year?
Yeah,
So
per year.
every 2 months on the average.
Roughly, yeah, roughly.
Do you
So,
like the same clients to all these
good
events?
question. Sometimes yes and sometimes no. So the A and A plus clients get invited to every single one. And then the others, you know, it just kind of rotates maybe based on where it's located or who we're working with at the time or whatever.
Does that ever like post challenges for social media where you're posting about it and?
We're getting to that next. It's perfect. Okay, so we have learned the importance of having coverage for our events because like we're in like the social media age, right? And if it wasn't on social media, it didn't happen. So it's wonderful to have this fabulous event, but it's only like fabulous for the people who were there. What about all the other people who don't even know that it happened? So we've always done social media posts. Last year, we really stepped it up a notch and we started having Gabriel come and film the events for us and do these awesome like commercials almost. And so last year, we did that commercial and we actually had a couple clients who reached out and said, oh my gosh, I didn't get the invite. I'm so sorry I missed the event because it's like the fear of missing out, right? It's easy to get an invite and go, oh, we're having, you know, my realtor's having a movie event. It's another thing to actually see a production video of it and go, oh, wow, this was like a really legit thing. So we had somebody who did that and we delivered them a Lego set afterwards, right? Like $20. And we said, oh, we're...
Someone on this, somebody did have something a little bit different where they questioned the agent why they weren't invited.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, I had that happen
Yes.
once. It was
And it was just
terrible.
like,
It was just
oh,
an
you know, I
oversight.
forget even what her response was.
Well, I mean, you can say, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. You know, we mailed invitations. Something must have gotten missed. We're going to make sure we get you next time. And then we sent them a little gift. Because the truth is, you know, and one of the people who did that, they had been invited to many events and never RSVP'd. But suddenly, when they saw the video, they were like, oh.
Well, let me say too,
Yes.
because I mean, it is honestly such a nice touch because the event itself was lovely, but Gabriel made it seem like so much better.
So much better. So much better.
Gabriel, because yes, I mean, it was like amazing. Like we were like, oh my god, like
Was
I-
this
I
the
was there,
winery
it didn't
one?
look this good.
That was the movie one, but the winery one was good too.
I remember it. It was like
Yes.
amazing.
Amazing.
Is this a TV commercial?
It is like a TV commercial. And so for like several $100s, like you're already investing the money to have this event, get some really good coverage for it because then you're going to get like multiple. So, you know, of course we posted the video after. I think it's on our it's our Facebook cover on our Platinum Group page right now. So we're getting the coverage there. And then next year, because we kind of recycle the same event themes when we do it again, we can show the client, you know, this is, you know, were you able to join us last year? Here's a preview. This is the fun we had last year. Hope you can join us this year.
Yeah.
And then when we do post, like when the event happens and we post pictures or the video,
Yeah.
we always include a little description and the last line is, you know, if you weren't invited to this event, I forget how tactfully say, basically reach out to us and you'll get added to our client appreciation program.
Yes.
Oh, then you're on VIP list.
Yes, exactly. So I highly recommend video would be my first choice for you. If you can't do a videographer, get a professional photographer or have somebody dedicated because here's what we've learned too, and this happens all the time. We have these events and we're too busy to take pictures. You think you will, right? You think you're going to take pictures with other people and you don't. And so, so have somebody dedicated to doing that for you, and you can use that content like for ages on all kinds of things. So it is incredibly worth it. I highly recommend it. It's probably one of my biggest tips for you when it comes to the events. And then after the event, so I have written in big letters, do not overthink this. This is the sharing of the social media. What Hannah just said. Don't worry. If somebody feels bad that they missed it, they may not immediately think that you didn't invite them. They might think, oh, I lost the invitation, or and if they're so bold as to reach out to you, then say, I'm so sorry. I don't know what happened. You should have gotten it. I didn't think to follow up with you. I know you're so busy. So definitely do that. The debriefing after the event is a big deal, and we do this after.
It's my least favorite part.
It's Melissa's least favorite part because Melissa works so hard, and it's hard to hear people say that maybe it wasn't. But because then people ask for all sorts of other things. But the debriefing, I think, is good because it helps us to kind of talk through, okay, what worked and what didn't work. With our vendor breakfast this year, we realized that we didn't really need 2 hours. An hour and a half is really sufficient. With the winery event, we realized, 5 to 7, we actually need a little bit later. So each time we kind of learn a little something, then we make notes. So then the next year or the next event, we're able to apply that, and that's what really helps us to make our events even better. Any thoughts on that? Comments on
How
that?
do you decide long-term what's worthwhile? It's kind of hard to quantify what the results are.
Good question. So we almost dropped the winery event. In fact, every year for like 3 years, we said we're never doing this again because it's during the summer and everybody's busy during the summer. And so we would have problems with RSVPs, and it's expensive. And then when we're at the event and we see how much fun everybody's having, then we tend to change our mind. And so after a couple of years of that, we've now we're for sure doing it every year. So I think it's just reverse pop-by events. We'll talk about that in a second. Actually, that's next, so maybe this is a good segue. We've had a couple that we've just not gotten the response. We've tried them a couple times. We've tried doing it a couple different ways, and it just hasn't worked. We haven't gotten enough people to RSVP, and so we've just dropped them. So you just have to. Sometimes it might mean you have to do it more than 1 year, just to see, because it could be a fluke that you didn't get the response that you wanted. So we love reverse pop-by events. In fact, we thought they were so fabulous that we were going to do 3 a year, and then we realized. We did do 3 a year, and then we realized that 3 a year is not good. So we are you had said, Charlene, a lot of people. Anybody do a pie party? Anybody do their? Susie's on that. So the reverse pop-by party is an amazing way to have a inexpensive, low-scale event that's low pressure, low stress. You can do it right at your office. We send out invitations. They pick which pie they want. We order them from Costco. Costco will take your labels off of your pies for you if you request, and then we put our own sticker on it with our branding on it. So you can do that, and people come to us. And so we have it kind of open house style. Our office is open for 6 hours, and we say, come anytime between this time and this time to pick up your pie. We always have refreshments that are paid for by a vendor. And so it's just very nice. It's casual. It's fun. Some people come in and they just grab their pie and run. Others will come in and sit and have a glass of wine and chit chat. So it just depends on who they are. So the pie event is by far one of our most successful. I think we gave away 300 pies last year, 250 pies, a huge number of pies. In your office? In our office. Wow. And we have a small office. Yeah. And we did the same. I think somebody mentioned, maybe Susie or Charlene, that if they didn't come or last minute they couldn't make it, we hand delivered their pie for them. We always order a couple of extra pies because we end up, having some people who just show. So we tried to extend this idea to a Mother's Day tea, and we tried this 2 years in a row, and inviting mothers to come. Did not work?
Actually, we did a few things. First, we did a
Valentine's
Day.
Mm-hmm.
We did a nothing bundt cakes, the little mini.
Yes.
Which are delicious, but we didn't have a big turnout for those. And then we did a Mother's Day flower.
Yes. It was always a flower. Yeah.
Oh, and then what did we do?
It was a flower again.
And then this year we did the lemon.
Oh, the lemon
things.
bites. The lemon bites. Yeah, and it just didn't work. So I don't know why. I don't know what.
They were so good.
They were so delicious.
So we
Were
ate
those all Mother's Day? Were
It
those all Mother's
was- So we
Day?
did it the Friday before Mother's Day. We invited our clients who were mothers to stop by and get a little gift. And we got like 10 people or 5 people. And so we've tried it twice and now we're done. So no more reverse pot pie events for us except the pie. But, you know, again, you have to test these things and try them and see what works for you. So we love it. And then the last one is vendor events. So we started last year with doing a vendor event. We did a happy hour. This year we did it as a breakfast. And I actually enjoy that one probably more than any of the others for some reason. But, you know, we did it for 2 hours, kind of open house style. We did it at a restaurant. They could come in, have breakfast, chat with us. Thank you. It's a really great way for us to get to know each other's vendors. I think the vendors enjoyed having that kind of FaceTime with us. And it's a great way to really show your appreciation. Again, we had Gabriel film it. We did a great video that we promoted. And what we did this year that we did differently is we had something printed. And you can all do this. Don't think that just because you're an individual agent or you don't have a big team that you can't do this. We had this poster printed, and we did what Melissa called it ghetto math. And we like added up a bunch of things of really impressive sounding numbers. Like we have 49,000 people in our social media reach, which we really do because when you add up all the agents on our team.
Everybody's like their people that like their business page, and then their friends on their personal page, and all the people.
It's just huge.
Yeah, it was like insane numbers.
An insane number. We send 25,000 postcards per year because we do. You add up all of our agents and we send 25,000 postcards a year. So anybody can do this. And so what this did then is we were able to promote this to our vendors to go, these are people that we want to align with, right? They see the possibilities. So now we have a postcard that we're sending to them afterwards that says, we have multiple opportunities for you to partner with us throughout the year. If you're interested in partnering with us, please reach out.
Which is another amazing reason to invite vendors
Yes.
to your client events so they can
Yes.
see, oh my gosh, wow, this would be an opportunity for me to
Yeah.
have my marketing material here.
Yes.
Which we don't, we don't really have too many vendor sponsors.
No, we don't. We could. I know, but we're not. Yeah, we don't do that a lot. So the vendor events is great. Has anybody ever done a vendor event? And the vendor breakfast. So if you follow Buffini, he pushes these. It was actually super easy, and I don't think it was not that expensive.
It was not that expensive. I just called a whole bunch of places because I looked into happy hours and then the breakfast, and I'll just talk to the manager and I just said, look, and like guessing this many people, I want to spend and it was kind of like $15 a person.
Yeah, it was not expensive at all.
You could select like beer or wine if you do limit your choices.
Yeah.
And then pre-select appetizers, and you can make things what you want to make
Yeah.
them. You just need to communicate that with the restaurant and manager, and then just craft it.
You can even do this super small scale. If you have, we all have tons of people that we work with day to day on our transactions. Maybe you take your favorite 5, your lender, your title rep, your home warranty person, your handyman, your home inspector, and invite them on a lunch, right? It can be a very small, it can just be as simple as that. It doesn't have to be a big crazy event. Have you
So
done?
when you did the vendor event, what day of the week?
Oh.
Wednesday, Thursday?
Oh, it was
It's
a
a
Thursday
breakfast.
morning from 9 till 11 we did.
Okay.
We did it at Expectations.
Oh, you did it at Expectations,
And
yes.
we set out a buffet breakfast. I told them, what we wanted food-wise, and it was
So
awesome.
like I have 2 home inspectors, I've bounced back and forth.
And yes.
And did you invite both of them?
So we had, actually,
To the same
yes,
one?
we did.
Yes, we did.
Said, oh, there's a lot of home inspectors here. There was actually, we had probably 5 home inspectors.
Oh, at
there.
least. Well, because, we're a team, but we have a lot of different vendors, and, people cover different areas. We had multiple lenders there. We had multiple people from title companies.
They were so,
Several
honestly, they were
photographers.
so appreciative though.
They were super appreciative. Yes.
Because no one ever celebrates that. It's true.
Yeah, I saw that and I loved it.
Yes, it was great. And you know what? And it's funny because the agents, we were talking about this afterwards. For all of us, it was like a very low stress event, even though, I don't like the whole mingled talking thing, but it didn't feel that bad because these are people that we kind of relate to in a different way, right? Because they're business people too.
And that, the most amazing part about it was the interaction between the vendors. They
Yes.
were introducing themselves, like they
Yes.
knew of the other person.
Yes.
And there was so much communication between them, and
It was so good. And so you might be saying to yourself, well,
it turned into a network.
it turned into a network, which I hate.
Yeah.
So you might be saying to yourself, why, how does this help my business? And it's going to help your business in a couple of different ways. Like, number one, you become kind of like a priority to this person. So when you call or your client calls, they're going to get like top-notch service, right? The second thing is now you've made another connection for somebody who might be able to help you sponsor one of your other events, which is going to save you money, and you might even get referrals. So, I love the vendor
The only
events.
reason I asked you this question is, Joseph Chisona with Rabini down in Houston, Texas. So I reached out to him because my daughter flooded in May.
Oh no.
From the horrible rain, etc. And I reached out to him, and he had vendors, even though she hadn't used him as a realtor, which my daughter's in big trouble for that.
Uh-oh.
But he knew people up here. When I said, hey, I'm still trying to find that electrician, he said, Charlene, call the guy that I know up in D.C. And I went, oh my God, he was just at my house this morning. And he's the one I'm going to hire from an agent in Houston that recommended
Isn't that crazy? It's this
It's that
connections.
connection.
It's the
That's why I was
connections.
asking you who was invited.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it was like anybody who's a vendor, people who we always do business with, even people that we've maybe done like kind of one-off things. But it was everybody. We had termite inspectors, we had our listing photographers, we had home inspectors, we had lenders, they were just plumbers, we had electricians. All kinds of people, and it was a great event. Our next meetup, so we're going to be gone at the beginning of November, so we're going to be kind of off our schedule for November. So our November meetup is going to be on November 21st. That is not Thanksgiving, it's the week before Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving is late this year. So November 31st, we're going to do business planning and goal setting. So there you go. Thank you for joining us. Thank you. If you enjoyed watching this program, then I hope that next month you will either visit one of our in-person events. We have them in a variety of different cities all across the country. You can go onto the Facebook group to see all of the different locations. Or if you are a member of Empower Coaching, then you will be able to get the copy of this video as part of your monthly membership. If you're interested in learning more about that, just go to empoweringwomeninrealestate.com/membership.